for today, which is the Grand Career Talk by Alumni for Mechanical Department. Just inform to you that this session will be recorded. So the objective of this slot is to expose students to the current practices as opposed to the mainly theoretical knowledge being taught in university. Before I start, I would like to inform that this slot will be started with aerospace speakers first and then followed by automotive speakers. So let me introduce our aerospace speakers first. First, we have Brother Muhammad Azmin bin Ilyas. He graduated from IIUM in 2009. He has a Bachelor of Engineering Aerospace, IIUM, and Master of Engineering Mechanical, UTM. He is currently a researcher at CNB Research. Next, we have Sister Nurul Hazwani binti Hamzah. She graduated from IIUM in 2005. She has a Bachelor in Engineering Aerospace Honors, IIUM, Master of Science in Facilities Management, UITM. She is currently an Air Traffic Controller at Civil Aviation Authority Malaysia, CAAM. Without further ado, I would like to invite our speaker, Brother Muhammad Azmin, to deliver his talk for today. Please welcome.
Thank you, Sister Zulaiha. Can you all hear me? Is it good? Yes. Okay, thanks. Yes, okay, all right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you, everyone? We have 20 participants today. I just would like to hear some shout outs. How many are you aerospace students? Can I hear it? Anything? Yes, I can see Kak Hawani there. Okay, maybe you guys still off your or mute your voice. Never mind. But I suppose the participants are balanced between aerospace and automotive. But in any ways, what we're going to share today is pretty much general that can be applied for any major, inshallah. So without further ado, I just would like to start with my presentation. Can you guys see this?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, all right. So my name is Azmin Ilyas, graduated from UIA in 2009, aerospace. My metric number is 0421737. So you can guess how old am I today. Graduated around 2009. What I'm going to share with you today is this is the timeline, and the colors are actually representing my years in certain companies. So up until today, I have about 12 years of experience. So what I'm going to share today is my experiences in those companies and some of my thoughts that can may be beneficial for you guys, inshallah. So let's look into my first experience. So I was in, after graduated from UIA, I was looking for some jobs for about 3 months. So after that, alhamdulillah, I got the first job in SME Aerospace. It's actually a factory. But before I move on, I need to make sure that is there any foreigner here? I suppose there's no foreigner and all are Malaysian, so I can actually mix my language. Boleh cakap bahasa Melayu tak? Can I see some thumbs up?
Boleh.
Okay, terima kasih. So, okay. So I was a process planning engineer. So process planning engineer ni dia buat apa? They actually overview all the process for aerospace parts, because SME Aerospace produce metallic aerospace parts. Aerospace parts ni for SME Aerospace, bukan aerospace parts yang besar-besar macam wings ke eco ke, bukan, tapi just small aerospace metallic parts macam besar tapak tangan macam tu, and some assemblies as well. So as a process engineer, process planning engineer, I need to plan what are the processes that this specific component needs to go through from the store and then go to some machine parts, for example, sheet metal processes, and then for annealing process if there is, and then NDT process, and up until delivery. So that is my work on my job scope there. So dekat sini ada banyak lah experience deal dengan macam-macam orang, sebab nak deal dengan store, nak pergi jumpa dengan orang proses dekat machining dekat dekat sheet metal punya line, nak jumpa orang dekat NDT. So kita deal dengan ramai orang, termasuklah orang QC, QA dan sebagainya. So I spent about 1 year over there. Like I mentioned before, I did spend a few months looking for a job. So while waiting for jobs to come, I work here. But after a few months working here, I've got the offer to join the second company. Di mana interview dia dah pun saya attend sebelum saya join SME Aerospace, but the process is quite long. So after that, I joined Petronas Research as a development engineer. Masa interview dekat Petronas Research ni, I was having this impression that sebab the department that I was going to join is actually powertrain department. Kalau orang-orang automotif dia tahulah powertrain tu apa, basically engine kereta lah. So biasalah masa interview kita cerita pasal engine kereta, banyak cerita pasal saya punya final project. My final project was development of model gas turbine engine, so banyak cerita pasal engine dan sebagainya. Tapi once I joined Petronas Research, I was involved in totally different thing. Masuk powertrain department, tapi I was seconded to a new unit called unmanned technologies. So the lesson is sekarang ni saya masuk Petronas, masa tu saya dah macam bear in mind, okay, aku ni nak masuk, nak buat enjin dan sebagainya, mungkin ada peluang nak pergi F1 ke apa benda ke kan. Tiba masuk buat benda lain pula. So as an engineer, you need to be ready for anything. You need to be adapt dengan apa-apa situasi, sebab kita as engineers, kita sepatutnya boleh menyelesaikan apa-apa dan boleh membuat apa-apa masalah, menyelesaikan apa-apa masalah pun. So back in Petronas Research, I was seconded to unmanned technology unit. Basically unit tu masih lagi dalam bawah powertrain department. So basically kita ada dua unmanned technologies. Yang pertama adalah UAV ataupun unmanned aerial vehicle system, dan juga yang kedua adalah ROV, iaitu remotely operated vehicle yang fokus kepada submarines lah. So basically kedua-dua teknologi ni fokus untuk monitor Petronas assets all over the world lah. Tapi my team focus on around Malaysia, for example like Petronas gas pipelines, Petronas punya assets dekat refineries dan sebagainya. So I was there for about 2 years. And a lot of people ask me kenapa tak stay lama kat Petronas. Macam selalu orang Melayu nyanyi kesakakan panas hingga ke petang tapi hujan di tengah hari. So macam itulah. So there are some hiccups as well here and there in your career. Dekat Petronas Research, when I was joining Petronas, there was some actually what you call restructuring, major restructuring. So basically Petronas akan buka new businesses and tutup certain businesses. So unfortunately our powertrain department was closed down, and some of our assets and people are being absorbed by Proton, and some of our people went to other Petronas subsidiaries, and some of our people left Petronas for other companies. And as for me, masa tu saya still consider young graduate, baru fresh graduate apa semua. Saya kurang campur orang, saya kurang bercakap dengan orang, jadi saya kurang ada link untuk ke mana-mana dalam Petronas subsidiary semasa tu. Jadi this is I learned it the hard way. The lesson, one of the lessons is you need to create link so that you have a better future prospects in terms of your career development. Nanti later I will share one of the key takeaways. But anyway, I choose to leave Petronas, although I've got some offer as well to be absorbed in Proton. But since I'm thinking that I'm still within the aerospace industry, although I'm in Petronas, but I'm still doing UAVs, which is considered as aerospace technology as well. So I seek some opportunities in outside. So dekat situ saya ada nampak peluang untuk join company yang seterusnya, iaitu Strand Aerospace in Malaysia di Petaling Jaya. So Strand ni basically dia adalah nama dia pun Strand Aerospace. So Strand Aerospace adalah syarikat consultancy yang memberikan khidmat nasihat kepada syarikat-syarikat lain tentang lebih fokus kepada structural analysis. Basically subjek-subjek macam saya tak pasti Dr. Ali ada lagi ke dekat UIA. So subjek-subjek Dr. Ali lah, aircraft structure 1, structure 2. So basically di sini saya bertugas sebagai aerospace engineer, di mana saya bertanggungjawab antara projek yang saya sempat involve adalah A350 flight test installation punya structural analysis. A350 covers and composite skins pada aircraft dia, pada wing dia. Ada involve juga non-aerospace business juga, antaranya KL monorail dan juga Mumbai monorail bogie ataupun powertrain dia. Kita kaji dari segi finite element method dan juga fatigue. Dan juga ada beberapa projek lain. So basically Strand Aerospace is a company yang melibatkan banyak konsultasi, dan dekat sini saya belajar banyak tentang communication. Sebab as a consultant you need to have what you call it rigid communication skill. Sebab sebagai engineer kita kena ada skill ini untuk kita sampaikan apa yang kita jumpa. Contohnya macam kita buat analisis tentang aircraft structure contohnya. Kita buat calculation macam jawab SPM, tapi kita nak kena ada report untuk kita hantar kepada klien kita. Dan cara kita report tu is also a type of communication. So macam mana kita report secara efektif apa yang kita jumpa dalam report kita secara concise, supaya customer boleh tengok, oh okay, mula-mula dia buat macam ni, assumption dia macam ni, dan dia punya findings dia macam ni, dan apa pendapat kita tentang structure tu dan sebagainya. So here one of the key takeaways yang most important is communication lah. And communication is not just about the way you speak, but also the way you write, so the way you draw even, macam drawing pun is a type of communication. Sebab dalam Strand Aerospace juga one of the projects that I was involved is also produce drawings as well, 3D and 2D. So while being an aerospace engineer in Strand Aerospace, I did get the opportunity to pursue my study in mechanical engineering in masters of engineering in mechanical in UTM. So master tu buat part time, 2 tahun setengah jugalah, tak ada live sebab setiap minggu kelas sampai malam juga. So tapi that's the perks of that you get daripada masa yang kita spend untuk kita belajar dan sebagainya. Kita dapat qualification, kita dapat ilmu, dan sebab ilmu ni sebenarnya adalah continuous lah, maksudnya we are never too old to actually learn. So kita sentiasa belajar dan tingkatkan ilmu kita. Kemudian setelah lebih kurang 9 tahun dalam aerospace industri, saya berhasrat untuk bertukar bidang. Dan saya menyertai TMB Research sebagai researcher di dalam unit dipanggil Renewable Energy and Green Technology. Dan saya telah pun berada di syarikat ni for about 3 years to date. Essentially what we do is like the unit mentioned, unit name is Renewable Energy and Green Technology. We focus on research activities on all sorts of renewable energies. Kita ada solar, wind, a few other renewable energy as well, biomass, biogas. So but for me, I focus more on solar and as well as wind energy technology. And while being as a researcher in TMB Research, KPI juga nak kena ada PhD. So I just started my PhD last year. So sekarang ni PhD in Mechanical Engineering dekat UPM, dah masuk tahun kedua. So that's a little bit about my experiences. Just nak tunjukkan a few pictures dekat from my experiences lah dekat SME Aerospace ni. Saya tak boleh nak tunjuk banyak sebab it involves sensitive components. So saya just boleh tunjuk gambar kilang, contohnya dekat ini adalah gambar kilang. Semua nampak ke dalam ni? Okay
Nampak.
Okay, alright. So itu gambar kelas lah. Saya punya unit dipanggil PPO department, iaitu Process Planning Office, dan saya punya office adalah kat bangunan kat depan ni. Macam saya cerita tadi, saya banyak involve dengan process flow of the product. So I need to go bangunan dekat belakang untuk sheet metal, bangunan dekat tengah untuk proses, bangunan dekat tepi untuk NDT. So banyak berjalan lah masa tu. Tapi masa tu tak adalah wearable technology, boleh pakai jam ataupun handphone boleh check step ke apa. Tapi rasanya kalau masa tu ada, berbelah ribu kat lah satu hari langkah. Tapi anyway, dekat sini memang banyak belajar tentang to be kind to people, sebab kita communicate dengan a lot of people and stakeholders dekat dalam ni. So kalau kita tak buat baik, dan susahlah kita nak bekerjasama dengan orang. So yang seterusnya, pengalaman saya sikit dekat Petronas Research. Macam saya cakap tadi, saya involved dengan unmanned aerial vehicle system. So macam tuan-tuan nampak dan puan-puan nampak kat dalam gambar ni adalah the UAVs lah, ataupun the UAV system yang kita ada di Petronas masa tu, iaitu Shibboleth Camcopter S100. Ini this was in Bintulu. So what I was doing there is actually to reassemble the what you call it, the UAVS. Di mana kalau macam masa tu kita kena mobile sebab kita is part of the emergency response team. Because this UAVS was used to actually monitor any emergency responses. So we need to be very mobile. So kalau macam kami base dekat Bangi, kita kena quickly kalau ada contohnya ada emergency dekat Bintulu kat any Petronas punya asset, kita kena quickly mobilize kita punya team masuk dalam kapal terbang dan sebagainya. Dan untuk masuk dalam kapal terbang tu kita kena buka disassemble kita punya UAVS ni dan masuk dalam kapal terbang kecil macam dekat belakang tu. Kenapa kena masuk dalam kapal terbang kecil tu? Sebab kita tak boleh afford the time to actually to go to the airport, the normal commercial aircraft, normal immigration process, normal baggage punya proses sebab buang ambil masa yang lama. So apa yang kita buat, kita hire charter small aircraft untuk kita bawa kita punya sistem dan team untuk ke sana lah. So masa tu saya responsible dengan maintenance dan operations of the aircraft. So this is the life like was in Petronas lah. By the way, ini is another aircraft yang kita guna masa tu, Cessna 421 untuk kita ni naik. Itu memang pengalaman lah, naik ke terbang kecil. Kalau macam tuan-tuan dan puan-puan boleh nampak dekat dalam tu, the insert picture is the what is it like inside Cessna 421. So it's a good experience to ride small aircraft. Masa tu mulalah terbayang apa yang belajar dalam aerodynamics lah, dalam structure lah. Saya ni adalah claustrophobic, so duduk kat dalam tu memang lemas. Daripada Kuala Lumpur ke Bintulu, biasanya kalau commercial flight ambil masa lebih kurang 1 jam 45 ataupun 2 jam. Tapi naik Cessna yang pakai turboprop ni, kita duduk dalam tempat yang claustrophobic tu selama 6 jam setengah. So bayangkanlah duduk dalam tu lama-lama. So it's a good experience actually, riding those kind of aircraft. So that was in Petronas. Dekat Strand pula saya tak boleh tunjuk gambar banyak juga sebab it's a sensitive punya components. But anyway, this is the picture from the website, so I can show you. By the way, the lady engineer standing there is also an alumni from UIA Aerospace juga, Siti Nina Nadia Nazarudin. But anyway, those are the from the screen of the pictures. From the picture kita boleh nampak components and structures of aircraft lah. Kalau ingat lagi longerons ke frames dan sebagainya. So what we do in Strand, kita buat calculation kepada structure analysis kepada komponen-komponen berkenaan dan adakah dia sesuai ataupun airworthy untuk certification yang seterusnya. So that what we did in Strand. Kemudian dekat TNB Research, this is one of my first project. Kita kena design dan construct solar dekat atas air. Macam kita nampak solar macam biasa dekat atas rumah orang, tapi di sini kita install atas air because of certain reasons, efficiency among others. So macam nampak kat dalam gambar yang GIF kat bawah tu, nampak kawan saya tu tengah berada dekat dalam floating solar yang sama kat dalam gambar besar. So we can see that the harsh winds from the sea, because this is next to the sea. It's kolam air tawar tapi next to the sea. So bila macam cuaca buruk dan sebagainya, dia melambai-lambai kan dia punya panel tu. So what we did is we need to calculate the wind load, berapa banyak wind load yang datang dan berapa banyak structure integrity yang kita perlu adakan. Kalau macam dalam gambar yang besar tu boleh nampak warna putih tak dalam air tu, line warna putih tu, dan tu adalah sebenarnya adalah mooring ataupun tali yang kita pegang supaya island floating solar ni tak bergerak. So kita dah buat research tentang solar dan sebagainya. Di TNB Research kita selalu buat ada banyak sharing session. Contohnya ni adalah saya sedang present dekat dalam salah satu international conference dekat Asia Utility Week 2019. So this is one of the things that I enjoy doing lah, sharing about what we do and what we did in TNB Research, and this is the latest one. Saya baru balik daripada Jambatan Sultan Abdul Halim Muazzam Shah dekat Penang. Basically dekat belakang saya kat dalam gambar yang pertama tu adalah wind sensor. So basically kita nak tengok kalau macam dalam video sebelah kanan tu, kita nak tengok sama ada wind speed dekat Jambatan Pulau Pinang kedua ni worth it tak kalau kita nak install wind turbines untuk kita harness energy daripada traffic, sebab traffic lalu pun akan ada keluarkan angin, and the energy coming from the wind speed from the sea breeze is also affecting dia ni. Kalau macam kita tengok windsock tu, kita boleh nampak dia sentiasa ke atas, maksudnya wind speed tu ada dalam sekitar 6 to 7 meter per second. So kita kena kaji lah, as a researcher we need to study whether that amount of wind speed is it enough for us to harness energy from it. So some of the recognition and certification that I would like to emphasize here, sebab dulu saya pun agak terkilan juga sebab saya kurang tahu pasal benda ni masa saya belum mula graduate itu. Tapi anyway, I just would like to highlight kalau macam kita sebagai engineer, researcher, doesn't matter, kalau kita boleh go ataupun pursue banyak recognition and certification yang ada di luar sana. Contoh macam kawan-kawan kita ambil kawan-kawan kita daripada accounting ambil SCCA, diorang ada SCCA dan sebagainya. Dan kita kita sebagai engineer kita ada apa? Kita ada banyak, antaranya kalau macam saya sendiri saya ada beberapa certification macam TS engineer, AMEI, NCS 333. So apa semua ni? Semua ni adalah certification dan professional membership lah. Kalau macam TS adalah technologies ataupun professional technologies yang diberi oleh Lembaga Teknologi Malaysia. Engineer ni sebenarnya kalau macam anda semua register selepas graduate nanti sebagai graduate engineer dalam Board of Engineers Malaysia ataupun IEM, BM atau IEM, anda boleh menggunakan nama ENGR pada nama kalian. Suffix and prefix. So AMEI pula adalah Associate Member of Energy Institute, is also a type of professional membership, and NCS 333 ni adalah certification lah. Yang kalau macam contohnya certification ini dikeluarkan oleh JPK ataupun daripada Kementerian Sumber Manusia. So benda-benda ni sebagai graduate, lepas anda graduate, even semasa anda belajar di universiti pun anda boleh register. You can register as a student member from IEM. You can register a student member from any other professional membership as well. For example, kalau macam mechanical automotive mungkin boleh register under Institution of Mechanical Engineers. Aerospace ada Royal Aerospace Engineers, so diorang semua ada student chapter yang kita boleh register. So why do we to register? So a lot of benefits, antaranya macam kita boleh tengok sama ada career development kita is in line with the industry, sebab diorang ni semua ada ramai members dan sebagainya, ada banyak, maksudnya kita boleh join banyak webinars dan sebagainya, dan juga kita boleh tengok the current technologies out there. So those are the things. So the last slide, the key takeaways from my short experience is number one, like I said just now, you need to be kind. Masuk industri nanti, be kind to all people. So once kita be kind dengan all people, then all the good things will come. Don't worry. So number two, like I said, you need to create link. Basically be visible. Kalau macam jumpa orang dan sebagainya, tegur, walaupun anda baru kat dalam syarikat tu, jangan takut untuk dedahkan diri. Okay, saya adalah baru di sini, cik pula macam mana dan sebagainya. Jangan takut untuk ni. Nombor tiga adalah communication. Macam saya cakap tadi, communication ni terbuka. It doesn't matter whether it's speaking or writing. So as long as you can get the information correctly and effectively to other people, so this can be gained through experience. Nah, and then number four, do not burn down the bridge. Once you have this, once you have be kind to people, created link, having effective communication between people, you do not ever burn the bridge down. The bridge is meaning hubungan, cari pasal dengan orang lah. Sebab we never know when we pursue in our career, we might meet again orang yang dah kita cari pasal ni kat dalam dunia lain pula. Sebab kita dalam career ni lama. Mungkin kalau umur kita panjang, mungkin dalam 20 sampai 30 tahun kita akan spend masa dalam career. So we never know when we're going to meet them again in the future somewhere. So insyaAllah, so be kind, create link, have a effective good communication, and do not burn down the bridge. So that is all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Brother Muhammad Azmin, for the lightning speech. Next, I will pass the floor to Sister Nurul Hazwani. Please welcome. Sister Nurul Hazwani, are you ready?
Okay, di sekejap ya.
Okay.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Hazwani binti Hamzah. I'm the first batch, Aero 2005, and today I would like to share a little bit of my experience. Tak banyak pun, but hopefully it will, bring insight and kata input to juniors lah, super juniors, and on how to orang kata menjalani life bekerja ni lah. Okay, so I will start presenting. Okay, nampak tak? Can all of you see the slide? Boleh ya?
Boleh.
Okay. So my name is Nur Hazari Binti Hamzah tadi. Aerospace 2005 ya. Okay, I am 40 this year. Graduated from IIUM Aerospace Engineering 2005. I was a GPA scholar last time. And after sometimes working, I find myself orang kata thirst, hunger for new knowledge, new environment. So I pursue my master in facilities management in UITM 2017 up to 2019. And then just after I graduated from UITM, I got a chance to apply for scholarship. Hadiah Latihan Persekutuan is a scholarship for a government servant to pursue PhD in transport and logistics, and I just started last year and it's ongoing lah now, right? When I did my facilities management master, it was in faculty of architecture, surveying and planning in UITM. And when I do my PhD, it's now in the Malaysian Institute of Transport UITM as well, right? Okay, so basically after graduating, I somehow spent 2 years as technical consultant in one company in PJ, where I did basically checking the checking online material untuk orang yang belajar tentang aerospace. So basically apa yang berkaitan dengan kapal, on the system, hydraulic, electronic, avionics, semua we have a team of 3D and 2D punya ataupun flash punya people, programmers. Dia buat program, and what I do is kita check whether benda tu betul tak dari segi technicalnya is correct or not. Macam kata movement of flaps, sled and all lah macam tu, okay? Right. So after 2 years, I got the chance to join the government servant sebagai ATC, Air Traffic Controller, and from there daripada situ saya kena join training for 66 weeks. Okay, memang it's basically the requirement to join the training, and masa training tu saya betul-betul sedang heavily pregnant lah sebenarnya. Because the requirement is to duduk hostel, and orang kata we need to balance lah our life, kerja dan kita punya family masa tu. Okay, so masa tu saya ada primary training where I learn all the theory, and then ada simulator training. Lepas tu ada OJT. Simulator training, like you can see macam tu. Masa tu kita tak ada sistem baru, so we use conventional way where kita bawa kapal lah. Means some people ada yang bagi arahan as controller, student controller, and the rest ni kita do the simulation tu orang kata manually. Later kita ada sistem yang lebih bagus yang kita ambil daripada Italy, and the system tu like you see banyak screen kan. Kita ada 360 screen, 240 screen where kita ada banyak monitors, and kita ada all the PTT untuk beri arahan dan supaya all the aircraft tu dia follow kita punya instruction, as in what we learn and apa yang kita perlulah macam environment macam tu. Okay, for one of the requirement bila training di Malaysia Aviation Academy ni dalam 66 weeks ni, kita kena di-attach ke some airports lah. So like macam saya last time, saya di-assign di Subang Airport. Memang tak jauh lah, kebetulan memang duduk di sekitar Lembah Kelang ni. Jadi what we do, kita orang masih tak boleh untuk beri arahan kepada pilots. Basically kita orang just kata observe, and we check all the orang kata requirements tu betul tak, sama tak apa yang dipraktiskan dalam industri, sama tak dengan apa yang kita belajar dalam orang kata dalam manual. Because semasa di Academy ni, kami memang diajar banyak subjek yang berkaitan dengan air traffic control, air traffic management, air navigation, communication, yang mana setiap minggu kami di-assess lah. Dalam aviation ni, I think maybe you all know, exams tu perkara biasa, study tu perkara biasa, dan dia punya orang kata passing mark tu 70 and above baru lepas, dan exam adalah setiap minggu. Jadi orang kata we don't have time untuk memang nak bermain-main lah, memang betul-betul orang kata masa training tu betul-betul belajar, and basically we see lah the application straight away bila kita OJT tu. Okay. Okay, then this is basically where I work at least for 7 years macam tu before this. Okay, this is the view daripada tower, control tower di KLIA. Di belah kiri tu, bila around 7 macam tu in the morning, sebab shift pagi kami ni selalunya bermula pada jam 7 sampai 1 tengah hari. And then the other side ni bila weather start building. Bila weather start building, visibility akan berubah. Jadi akan banyak orang kata prosedur-prosedur tambahan yang perlu diambil kira, dan lebih banyak conditions yang kita kena ambil tahu, dan lebih banyak safety measure yang kita kena ambil lah. Okay, so kita punya separation between kapal akan menjadi lebih besar. Instead of katakanlah kita bagi separation setakat 1 mile, nanti bila ada weather kita akan jadi lebih besar, 5 to 7 miles, depends on aircraft type and wake turbulence. Alright. Okay, and this is the tower dekat east. I believe from normal people akan cakap ni tower dekat KLIA 1 lah. So basically there's no tower KLIA 1 or KLIA 2. It's basically we have east tower and west tower. Okay. It used to be one of the tallest air traffic control tower in the world. Later been taken over by Thailand, and lepas tu been taken over by KLIA 2, and now ada a lot more lah yang lebih tinggi. Okay. Okay, CAM is basically Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia. Previously adalah Department of Civil Aviation Malaysia. It's an agency yang menguruskan pengangkutan udara under Ministry of Transport. Okay. Back in 1991, if I'm not mistaken, ya, ada perpecahan antara berlaku lah, orang kata split lah. Okay, split antara dalam DCA ni, satu remain dalam government, another one yang kita kenal sekarang sebagai MHB, yang mana dia menguruskan semua airport di Malaysia. Okay, I can say now ada juga agensi lain yang menguruskan, sebab kita ada around 42 airports in Malaysia. 39 of it managed by MHB, and another 4 managed by SATS. SATS tu Senai Airports punya ni lah, punya management. Okay. Alright. Okay. Maybe some of you tahu CAM ni adalah basically regulator ya untuk air transport in Malaysia, aviation industry, yang mana there are many units dalam tu yang terlibat dengan regulator, and ada juga yang kata macam ni ya, yang ada juga dia punya functionnya as service provider. Function sebagai service provider ni diambil oleh MAVA tadi, Malaysia Aviation Academy, di mana dia beri latihan lah kepada government servant, personnel yang berkaitan dengan aviation. Then we have air traffic services punya department. We also have air traffic management, and we also have flight calibrator. Okay, flight calibration punya unit as service provider. The rest are regulator, which are flight operation yang handle all the pilots, and navigation services yang handle all the traffic controllers, airworthiness yang handle all aircraft engineers. Okay, I believe aircraft engineers ni kita tahu kan dia berbeza dengan aerospace engineer, tapi dalam aspek CAM ni memang mereka hanya handle LAE. Okay, alright. And next, okay, bila bercakap tentang pekerjaan ni kan, at one time kita biasanya more than after you work, after sometimes at one time in your career punya timeline ni, kita perlu ada orang kata perubahan and change. We need to do change. We need to, orang kata, like Brother Azim yang said tadi, ada link, and kita jangan takut untuk cuba benda baru. Always be ready to accept any responsibility and extra work, and tak perlu takut untuk buat silap lah. Because in real life and in career punya in industry, a lot of things pun kadang-kadang kita sendiri yang kena explore dulu untuk tahu where the path bring us. Okay, so in sepanjang saya punya orang kata tempoh bekerja ni, there are few things yang saya handle, yang saya involved with, yang saya appointed, yang saya being assigned untuk tugas-tugas yang mungkin tak pernah orang lain buat ataupun yang tak pernah dibuat, dan kita orang kata berlapang dada, terima sahaja dan cuba benda yang baru lah. We must have positive attitude towards job being given lah. Okay, so at one time I was the head of secretariat for New KL TCC project. It was a 700 million project, and if you notice perkembangan benda ni bermula, dia sebenarnya bermula like 20 years ago, tapi dia menjadi lebih prominent after the MH370 where government acknowledge keperluan untuk improve all the facilities yang dah tua dekat Malaysia ni, sebab kita ni orang kata bidang-bidang aviation ni, benda-benda yang di belakang tabir ni selalu orang tak nampak kepentingan dia. But when something happen and it's really big, it involve a lot of yang kata bad publication, bad reputation kan, banyak nyawa yang terlibat, then you know lah, baru ada orang kata perhatian kepada this project. Okay, and it was orang kata diluluskan like immediately, and the project started. And before I leave for my study leave, setahu saya benda ni akan bermula by June lah. June dia akan make into operation. Okay, this picture was taken before I leave for cuti belajar, right? Okay, okay. And if we betul-betul buat kerja, pada saya lah ya, tak kisah lelaki atau perempuan, some people orang kata afraid of apakah penerimaan industri terhadap tenaga kerja wanita ke kan. Okay, pada saya tiada masalah, sebabnya bila kita bekerja ni, if we can prove that apa yang kita buat tu betul dan sama dengan apa yang dikehendaki oleh company ataupun management, I believe people will see your talent lah, will see your talent there. And as long as you do things right, insyaAllah one day orang akan put the right recognition to you, or at least kalau kita kata kita tak cari recognition pun, the recognition will come to you lah if you do things right. Okay, okay, and okay, in sepanjang saya bekerja ni lah, dia bawa saya merata, because after sometimes saya bekerja sebagai air traffic controller in operation where I told you just now I work shift semua tu, saya dipindahkan ke HQ untuk buat kerja-kerja yang berkaitan audit, and saya audit merata saya audit di semua airport di Malaysia where I audit dia safety punya practice. Kita banyak juga jumpa findings yang orang kata sebenarnya yalah, benda-benda ni boleh diimprove untuk meningkatkan tahap keselamatan, sebab the moment tahap keselamatan tu di highest level of compliance, the keselamatan public pun terjamin lah. Alright, I think that's orang kata itulah orang kata the gist of this industry kan. Basically kita pentingkan keselamatan, right? Okay, and also dengan penglibatan yang banyak dalam bila kita aktif, not necessarily you aktif tu dari segi kerja je, like Cik Azimin said tadi kan, kita ada link yang banyak, apa benda semua tu, dia bawa kita merata, because macam air traffic controllers, we have association, we have MATCA, Malaysian Air Traffic Controller Association, we have IFATCA, International Federation of Air Traffic Controller Association, we have KATSU, we have union, we have a lot of things, and dari situ kita build, orang kata kita build connections lah, not only sesama ATC in Malaysia but with all other ATC in the world. Okay, and for you to orang kata to grow, kita jangan malu-malu lah. Kita jangan malu-malu, tapi kita tahulah where's our limit, and kita learn actually a lot from other people. Alright. Okay, and this is some sort of other things where I have. Okay, just nak belajar supaya one day we become an expert. The moment we become an expert, people will orang kata see and appreciate you dengan talent yang you ada. Okay, be active and jangan takut untuk bersuara lah kot ya. And spread your wings lah, macam I was orang kata I was one time sangat takut untuk macam be aktif ke apa semua sebab rasanya aku ni kerja dalam industri yang ramai lelaki. Mungkin perempuan punya suara tak didengari, but no. When I get to know more people, rupanya lagi banyak pendedahan-pendedahan yang bagus. And last time I was actively involved lah, sekarang mungkin dah kurang sikit ya, dalam banyak association. Lepas tu dalam Women in Aviation Asia saya terlibat. Lepas tu I also try to give back lah, to give back to industry or maybe to university or maybe to education macam tu ke. Kita nak bridge academic dengan industri ni by becoming one the industry assessor dalam ITEC lah. ITEC ni is Engineering Technology Assessor Council. Okay, where we basically go to universities and kita evaluate dia punya syllabus, dia punya orang kata produk-produk lah, maksudnya student tu punya produk, syllabus yang subjek-subjek yang ada di engineering courses yang being offered in university lah. So that one day more engineers, more good engineers akan dihasilkan lah in future. Okay, alright. What else? Okay, this is basically like Azimin said, kita kena at the end kena be positive lah, be positive, and kita cubalah orang kata cuba be kind to others, and apa pun sayang diri sendiri dulu. Okay, jika sayang diri kita sendiri dulu, we are Muslim, we have the best, you know, the best savior kita ada Allah, kita boleh selalu doa, and don't forget to, you know, don't forget to always utamakan family, because after all family is your, you know, your strength. Be it your parents, be it your siblings, pasangan dan anak, and then always be happy dengan doing what makes you happy lah. Okay, by doing things that makes you happy, you can kita ada peace in mind and kita boleh fokus in whatever we do lah. Okay, jangan takut untuk bermimpi and always help others, because by helping others actually more good things will come to us. Alright. Okay, I think that's all for now. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Sister Nurul Hazwani. I'm sure all of us gained a lot from the speech. Before we move on to the automotive speakers, we will have a quick Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can open the mic to ask, or you can type in your questions in the chat box. Does anyone have any questions?
Si Zulaiha.
Yes.
Ramai student mana yang ada dalam sekarang ni?
Tak sure lah. Rasa dua-dua ada aerospace dengan automotive.
Oh, okay. Tapi dia mix daripada first year sampai ke final year macam tu?
Mix. I think if there's no questions, we'll move on to the automotive speakers straight away. Is that okay? Okay, without hesitation, I would like to introduce our automotive speakers. So first we have Sister Mujahidah Soliha binti Haji Rosli. She graduated from IIUM in 2005. She has a Bachelor of Automotive Engineering. She is currently in a group CEO at EDSA and Certified Application Specialist at CA Asia's PIPE and ET. And then we have Sister Ayu Zalini binti Abdullah. She graduated in 2005. She has a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering Automotive, and she is currently a Senior Engineer at Perdua Manufacturing Sdn Bhd. Without hesitation, I would like to invite Sister Sholihah to deliver her talk. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah we're able to meet. If not because of COVID year, we might not have this special opportunity to have this grand talk. Alhamdulillah, the opportunity that you'll have is a very good opportunity. In fact, as how we learn during our study time, learning from the senior, this is the same thing that we want to do to all of you. Okay, my sharing would be on the other aspect of the career and life sharing. So my friends has been sharing on the other parts. Actually, we all memang already planned that this person will focus on this one, this person will focus on this one. Sebab apa? As much as we can, as mentioned by my previous fellow speakers here, Kak Wani, Abang Azimin, memang we want to give back. So we are seriously taking this opportunity to give back in whatever way that we can. To be frank, memang we are busy, tapi when we are being asked for this assistance, we are being asked for this contribution, we all memang put aside everything. Yes, we want to do this. Okay, so a little bit about me. Tadi Sis Zulaiha siap spell lagi ya. It's can be pronounced as PipeNet. It's a software. So basically, I'm the group CEO for the company, and also I'm a certified application specialist in Southeast Asia for an application, a software called PipeNet. I graduated in automotive engineering. During my time, we are graduated with automotive engineering. Meaning dalam scroll kita tu, it's written as automotive engineering. And then because of the our seniors were unable to get job easily and things like that, so MQA recommend that our course is changed to, I think now is mechanical engineering or something, yeah. Okay, and you know what, we have to go and change our scroll back to UIA. It's pretty interesting actually. I'm a batch of 003, very old, and in fact, me and another fellow speaker, Sister Ayu Zalini, we are the grandmother of all of you. Grandmother ke great grandmother ke boleh lah, Tok Nyang, we are the Tok Nyang because we are the first girls batch for the automotive engineering ever. Rare kan? But you know, kalau Sister Wani, she's in fact bukan sahaja the first batch of automotive engineering and first batch perempuan. Like us, we are the first batch perempuan. The first batch all brothers, second batch all brothers, only the third batch baru ada the sisters, and there were only 7 of us that time. Tapi Alhamdulillah, as more girls are more brave, are more adventurous to take something which usually, you know, dominated by men, I bet we have more and more graduates in this field. Okay, I did not land my rezeki in automotive engineering, even though I thought that so much. I wanted to come back to my hometown in Pekan Pahang and work in the car company. car manufacturer company, DRB Highcom, they have big plants over there. So I send my resume to all those companies. Tapi itulah rezeki tu kita tak tahu kan. Allah already set our rezeki. In fact, I did my internship in automotive manufacturing company that time produces Nazaria with brother. I remember he's inside this event. His brother Izhar, dia kawan internship saya. So I thought that macam saya orang Pekan, internship kat Pekan, should be ada high opportunity lah nak kerja balik dekat Pekan kan. Tapi like I said, rezeki tu Allah dah tetapkan pada kita 50,000 sebelum Allah siapkan dunia ni. Takdir tu dah siap dah. Jadi saya pasrah dan reda, this is my rezeki. Jadi masa at first tu I was a bit like macam sedih lah because I always wanted to come back to my hometown kat Pekan kan. Lepas tu I met my career mentor. He's from Pekan, he did successful in Kuala Lumpur, and he came back to Pekan as a CEO of a company, and then he told me, dia kata, Soleha, you should be brave, work outside your kampung, explore the world, and then kalau you dah rasa enough, you nak balik cari kerja kat Pekan, dan baliklah. Tapi if as young as you, as fresh as you that time lah, sekarang dah tak young dah 40, dia kata beranilah, keluarlah. So from there, I did not look back. I just look to whatever rezeki that I have, and I make the best out of what I have. So I land into an oil and gas company. And the popular question, only me and also my seniors always face that time, because our degree is in automotive engineering. So they keep on asking, so you are graduated in automotive engineering, so how can you able to work in this field? Kan? Lepas tu, you have to know what you are. And of course, we take our study seriously. We know it's all about. So I remember during that interview, I said, yes, automotive is a field of mechanical, and this task or this job require me to have the ability for fluid flow analysis, and I should be able to do it. And Alhamdulillah, I landed the job in that company. So true enough, mechanical aerospace is one of the branch, where it's the basic one is the mechanical engineering. So you have wide opportunity to go. You're able to go into other mechanical field that is related, and don't worry, as long as you keep the positive attitude, you practice what has been shared by two previous speaker, inshallah you have a long way to go in life. Yes, so jangan risau, jangan rasa macam otomotif saya mesti kerja kilang kereta. Tak, I did try to apply, tapi rezeki bukan kat situ kan, tak dapat. Minta Pro 2, minta Proton, tak dapat. Dapatnya dekat oil and gas. So what my job is all about? At the moment, I'm the group CEO, so I have to oversee the whole group as well. The group has business in other field, in other business division. In fact, the challenging part is that the other business division ada yang tak related dengan engineering pun. Tapi we have to have a strategic mindset to be able to, no matter how, no matter what, manage the company, strategize to make profit, even though it is not in engineering. You have to crack your head and think about the strategy. What help is that being an engineer, we are trained to think with a systematic mind. We are trained to think with statistic, with calculation, proven with a result. So I do apply the same principle, the same thinking principle in managing the other business group, even though it is not related to oil and gas. But nowadays, you have to be double talent, especially if you are not in MNCs or not in a big corporate. At the same time, at business unit level, I'm also, just like any other people, an engineer. It's just that a bit special, I guess. I'm the specialist engineer for this one application, and I do think that I have the privilege, the rezeki for that. I'm the only one in Southeast Asia who is certified for this certification by Sunrise System Limited in the UK. So the name of the application, the name of the software is PipeNet. It's basically used to calculate the basically a flow assurance. In a simple words, it's about making sure that the pipe will not broken whenever there's an operation. So I'll give you an example over here because I wish that kejap ya. Let me just try to see this if it works. So you all can see my screen, right? You all can see my screen, right? Okay, this is an example. So I would like to motivate all of you. Please take all of your subjects seriously. Many people like to ask me, will I apply all those things that I've learned, all those 144 credit hours that I took during my degree? Will I actually apply it? If you ask me in my case, yes, I have to apply it. You know, for example, this is one of my job. It's the offloading operation, FSO, floating storage and operations. So this is where the tanker should be. You just try to imagine dekat jetty kan, very big jetty, macam dekat Pengerang, macam dekat Port Dickson, kita ada terminals ya. Jetty ada kat sini, the vessel will attach there. And then here is the platform, not platform, the refinery side. Yeah, where there's a pump that pumps in the system, and this is the pump curve. So there is a understanding of static head, static, yeah, subject static, and there is a understanding of pump here and how the pump operates, yeah, the curve and things like that. This is about rotating equipment. This is under theory of machines and mechanism, and there's a little bit understanding of machine design subject over here. And then here is the check valve. Check valve is the valve that avoid the flow. It carry lube oil, yeah, in this case, lubricant oil. It avoid the lubricant oil to turn back into the pump and damage the pump. And of course, all these things are the understanding heavily on the subjects of fluid mechanics. So I did my fluid mechanic with Dr. Walid Faris. Yeah, Alhamdulillah that time even though I did not score very well, tapi bila kerja tu, oh okay, boleh faham. And I tell you, I still keep my textbook yang colour pink tu, fluid mechanics tu, until now I'm still using it, because when you are talking about fundamentals, it never change. And of course, you have to have the industry handbook, you have to have the industry theory and things like that. Tapi buku teks you tu, you tetap akan pakai in my case. Right. And there's also another understanding which dulu I do have problem for digital system. So the application is here where you have to understand how to set up the PNID controller. So buka balik, I go back and check my textbooks ya. So dia ada P proportional, I integral, D differential. PI is the combination of proportional and integral. PD is a combination of proportional and differential. ID is, you all know lah ya, belajar dalam subjek control system kan. Cuma in the industry, the application is how we are going to make money, meaning how we are going to maximize the profit by choosing the best controller. Will the PI combination work best? Will the ID combination work best? Will the PID combination work best? So in our experience, we know that in order to control a system like this, a PD controller is the optimum, we would say. So we would recommend to client that if you have this kind of problem and if you need to use the PID controller in order to control your loading system, it's better for you to use PI. Kenapa? PI controller, proportional and integral controller is cheaper, is lower of cost, even though it did not work as perfect as PID. PID controller is more expensive, so biasanya client, for example Petronas ke, macam yang ni, project ni owned by Chevron ya, diorang kalau kita propose something yang mahal, yang expensive pun dia akan kata, alah tak nak lah. So we as the application engineer, even though I'm at the simulation level, I got to understand from the market which one that is better in terms of the pricing and the functions. So to say that apa yang kita belajar dulu tak berguna, in my case, digital system subject ada, static ada, dynamic ada. Of course, fluid mechanics is all about that. And at the back of this program, kita belajar programming kan. During my time, we learn C, we learn C++, and then of course we also learn numerical methods. So when I sit for my examination in Cambridge for this software, I did not take numerical methods that time because numerical methods was an elective. I did not take. But I remember some of my friends, she took numerical methods. So when we go melepak at their rooms kan, kita belajar, kau belajar apa dekat subjek numerical methods ni? So dia cerita macam ni. Oh, okay, faham. So sekurang-kurangnya I do have some background idea. So when I have to sit down for the certification exam for this software, tak adalah I lost sangat into the translation, tak tahu what's going on kan. So penting waktu belajar ni, ambil tahu dengan kawan-kawan lain subjek apa yang diorang belajar. Walaupun you did not take the course, at least you have some idea about what that is all about. Okay, I feel like it is an honor if I could show this run to you. Okay, so my work is about simulation. Okay, I'm a white engineer. Jadi dia engineer ni basically ada two types. White engineer dengan black engineer. White engineer ni, we mostly work with computers. I do go to plants, but not so often. I only go to plants to verify some of the pipe configuration saja. And those pipe usually, I will translate that into this kind of modeling with just the drawing. So as long as drawing tu dah okay kan, we just refer to it. Oh okay lah, kita pun build this macam ni ya. We can build this modeling macam ni. Now this modeling, okay, a bit of maybe lacking on my side because I did my degree in automotive engineering. I don't understand much about process sebab kita tak belajar pasal process plants ya. Compared to people yang graduated in process engineering, chemical engineering, they do understand. So I have to take an initiative to learn about process and things like that, so that I will be able to faham yang ni so that I will be able to faham so that I will be able to understand how does the ni dia punya apa gambar ni apa, dia punya bukan gambar schematic ni apa Kejap ya. Some of my friend ingatkan I. Dia kata Profesor Faris yang ajar fluid mechanics. Oh cik. I ambil dengan Dr. Faris, tapi I cuma sempat few weeks sebab that semester I have a karate championship, so I cannot take too many subjects. So I told Dr. Faris I need to drop that subject. So saya sempat sekejap je dengan Dr. Faris. Lepas tu saya ambil dengan Dr. Siapa Dr. Walid lah kan? Okay, tak kisahlah tu. Yang penting itulah guru-guru yang banyak berjasa dalam hidup kita. Okay, I would like to have a pride, I would say, to show to you guys this thing. Just nak bagi adik-adik faham the flow of thoughts ya. Kita belajar fluid mechanics tu apa semua. Sebenarnya bila kerja, kalau di bidangnya adalah bidang macam saya, this is the sort of thing yang kita buat. So dia akan calculate, and then dia buat dia punya graph, okay? Because dalam kerjaya, dalam dunia pekerjaan, like being shared by my two previous friends tadi, is about effectiveness. So you have to write a report. You have to write a report in an effective way so that orang akan faham. So kalau kita submit macam ni dekat klien pun macam, apa kau bodoh ni Soleha? Oh, kita pun nak cerita-cerita macam ni. Tak boleh. So we have to be able to, alright, translate all the data, all the result that we have into an actionable knowledge. Actionable knowledge tu maksudnya ada knowledge yang akhirnya akan ada tindakan. So contohnya, my client concern so much is with this valve. Ini valve ya, V2 ni valve. So ada tanker kat sini. Jadi what happen is that tanker ni bila dia dah fully loaded, valve ni akan tertutup. Nah, ni semua control system Valve ni akan tertutup. Bila valve ni tertutup, dia akan buat ada satu kejadian yang namanya shock wave. Dalam wave tu, wave kan dia propagate macam tu kan. So dia propagate tapi sebab valve tu tertutup, dia macam tu. Okay, kita belajar ni semua ya. Kita belajar dalam fluid mechanics. And then kita takut ada kejadian yang namanya cavitation. Ada dalam buku teks fluid mechanics tu cavitation. Jadi cavitation ni kejadian yang mana bila wave tu di jalan macam ni, lepas tu dia macam ni. Jadi belakang ni lompong. Lompong ni lah yang kita panggil cavity, maksudnya pressure di lubang itu ataupun di lompong itu menjadi very low below the atmospheric pressure. So atmospheric pressure kalau kita belajar dalam fluid mechanics, it's about 1 point bar something tau. Tapi dalam industri usually kita akan ambil dia punya round number. So we always consider that 0 is the atmospheric pressure. Jadi kalau pressure dekat sini it goes below the vapor pressure of the fluid, maksudnya akan ada cavity. Yang kita takut sangatnya cavity ni, cavitation ni, dia akan buat macam ada black hole tu, macam tu. Jadi kalau ada cavity, pipe ni boleh kemik, dah kemik nanti dia punya flange ni akan tercabut, dah tercabut boleh pula terlepas, you know. So bayangkan ini adalah terminals dekat laut and tiba-tiba terpecah pipe ni, minyak tumpah, akan berlaku banyak masalah, akan berlaku pencemaran, akan berlaku malapetaka dan mungkin akan berlaku kebakaran dan of course akan jadi masalah yang besar. So my work is about making sure that pipe tak tercabut. Simple je my work. Okay. So nak tunjuk pasal yang cavitation tu. Nah, this is the thing that I would like to share with you ya, brothers and sisters. Masa belajar, tak tahulah tidur ke, mengantuk ke, asyik ingat kat boyfriend ke, tak ingat langsung pasal cavity, pasal cavitation ni. Tapi kan, I saw my textbook tu, I boleh nampak ada my handwriting dekat page dalam buku teks tu pasal cavity. That means I pernah belajar benda tu. Tapi I tak ada memori langsung. Lepas tu fikir balik, astagfirullahalazim, laranya saya ni dulu Okay, jadi nak cerita pasal cavity ni. So dalam sistem tu kalau kita tengok, pressure kat sini 0 bar gauge, meaning ngam-ngam atmospheric pressure. There is no pressure which is below the vapor pressure of the fluid. Maksudnya, alhamdulillah sistem ni selamat. Dia tak akan berlaku cavity. Cuma isu yang kita risau dekat sini adalah pressure spike yang dia panggil biasanya pressure surge ya. Jadi pressure surge kat sini dia surge sampai 19 bar. Jadi apa yang kita dah faham waktu projek tu, pipe ni kat sini allowable dia macam ni. Design pressure 16 bar, tapi kita ada allowable macam kalau dalam theory of dalam machine design kita belajar, ingat dulu Dr. Asad ajar, dia selalu ajar ambil safety factor tu 1.3. Maksudnya 30% lah kan. Tapi kalau dalam bidang saya, kita kalau ikut ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, kita kena ambil 1.33. Maksudnya 33% ya. Tapi kalau manufacturer, maksudnya tauke pipe ni kata pipe saya bagus, boleh tahan sampai 50% of the allowable. Jadi apa yang kita buat, 16 bar, maksudnya design pressure pipe tu kita darabkan dengan 1.5, 24 bar. Jadi 24 bar gauge adalah allowable system ni. Jadi tadi kan kita nampak kat sini dia punya maximum pressure 19 bar. Okay. Jadi kita boleh rumuskan pressure-nya adalah above design pressure tapi masih di bawah allowable. Jadi kita akan nak tengok graph. Kita akan nak tengok graph untuk pastikan macam mana apa yang kita panggil pressure profile untuk confirmkan sebenarnya selamat tak sistem ni. So graph ni akan bagi tahu kita yang oh this is the profile. So kita nampak 19 bar tu naik sekejap je. Sekejap dah. So kalau ikut ASME, dia akan cakap macam ni. ASME ya, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, dia kata kalau untuk plan ya, untuk proses plan, ini bawah kod B31.3. Jadi dia ada B31.1 untuk power piping ya. Rasanya Brother Hazimin mesti tahu B31.1. B31.2 saya tak ingat, saya cuma ingat B31.3 sebab tu bidang saya, proses piping. Dia ada B31.4, 0.5, 0.6, sampai point berapa tak ingat, tapi dia kata dekat dalam B31.3 kalau dia punya naik tu is less than 100 hours in a year, it should be okay, it should be allowed. Jadi bila kita dah calculate kejadian pressure surge ni berapa, kemudian kita conclude kan, oh it is less than 100 hours in a year, then kita waktu tu kita boleh bagi tahu klien, okay, insyaAllah, don't worry, your system will be safe dengan keadaan valve shut off valve ni tertutup dalam tempoh 2 saat. Jadi macam mana nak tahu 2 saat? 4 tolak 2, 2 So all these things are things yang kita belajar waktu control system. Jadi my work as a specialist engineer involve semua benda yang saya belajar daripada first year sampailah final year, walaupun subjek combustion not directly involved in this subject, tapi the flow of thoughts yang lecturer kita dah ajar, the analytical skill yang lecturer kita dah ajar, kemampuan kita untuk membaca data, untuk translate data, untuk analisis data, benda-benda skill tu dah diajar waktu universiti. Alhamdulillah, pekerjaan saya memerlukan saya untuk still pakai all these things. Okay, so that's a bit about this. I feel like nak tunjuk about how the calculation is being done sebab nak bantu adik-adik have a thought, have an understanding that bila kita kerja, kita belajar satu je, kita belajar fluid mechanics je. Tapi bila kita kerja, even though the work is about fluid mechanics, it's about fluid flow analysis, it's about a software called PipeNet, I have to incorporate all those things that I've learned. So, jangan ambil mudah, jangan rasa tak minat lah nak belajar tu, nak belajar ni, ulun je, hadap je, telan je dek, dan jangan lara Okay, so that's my job is all about. A bit about ini how I work. So it just so happens that because I'm taking care the whole Southeast Asia, my job involves lots of traveling, and then how packed I am. Alhamdulillah lah, rezeki saya tu memang every month I'll be out. In a busy month tu kadang sampai 3 kali I'll be out from the country. Kalau tak busy tu once a month memang akan keluar je. This is me dekat Pertamina. Pertamina is also one of my client. Pertamina is the national oil company for Indonesia. Kalau Malaysia, national oil company kita Petronas, ya. Kalau Thailand, PTT. Jadi waktu ni kan saya nak share. Jadi bila kita kerja ni, selalu orang tanya kan, kerja ni macam mana Bila saya dah kerja, saya punya conclusion, kerja ni sebenarnya macam final year project. Hari-hari, kalau kita dalam semester yang buat final year project, kita punya busy tu, Masya Allah kan. Tapi bila kita kerja, hari-hari macam tu. You kena alert, you kena ada progress, you kena ikut schedule. And the most important part is, you got to be a self-starter and self-motivated. Macam Sister Wani dah share, she got to work in a task that tak pernah dibuat orang. So you kena ada ability untuk be a self-starter. Orang tak buat pun, tak ada orang nak bimbing you, tak ada orang nak ajar you pun, tapi you kena cari jalan. Macam mana nak get this thing done? And then self-motivated. Of course, bila you ada schedule, and schedule tu you yang buat sendiri, you akan tend to, alah tak apalah, sepatutnya hari ni saya buat benda ni, saya siapkan report ni, tapi tak apalah, klien tak minta lagi. Esoklah hari ni main-main WhatsApp lah, hantar-hantar gambar lah. No, bila kita kerja, kita tak ada masa dah untuk tu sebenarnya. Sebab kalau you tak settle benda ni hari ni, besok ada benda lain pula, lusa ada benda lain pula. So it is very important that you buat kerja, janganlah tunggu dicambuk. Dicambuk tu maksud you kena sebat bontot tu baru nak berlari. Jangan. If you know that you have to do it, do it. Okay. And then I also would like to share this side. Pemandangan ini, kalau Sister Wani, dia tukang jaga kapal terbang yang saya naik untuk pergi cari rezeki, ya. Saya ni duduk dekat gate biasa macam ni. But masa kan, time is an essence. Sementara tunggu flight, usually I will check in early. Jangan buat benda last minute tau. I will check in early. Bila check in early, I have extra time to sit at the gate. Just open up my computer. Kalau ada issue on something, run dulu. Because my work is about running a simulation, ya. Jadi simulation ni kadang ambil masa lama lah. Kadang kita kena check kenapa masa dia lama. So at least kalau you dah run something, you ada some idea already. So biasanya kalau duduk, nama pun laptop kan, duduk atas lab. Tapi dia tak syok tau. Dia kalau nak buat calculation ni, dia macam otak tu kena clear kan. So I would just simply tolak kursi apa semua. Okay, duduk je kat situ. Sedap kan. Right. And then I like to depict my life as living out of my suitcase. Maksudnya, disebabkan I travel for too much, my life ni, I tak ada rumah, I macam umang-umang. Bukan tak ada rumah, maksudnya sempat macam tak berumah sangat lah ya. Hidupnya hanya dengan suitcase je, hidup dengan bag tu je. Jadi hidup dengan bag, kehidupanku adalah bagku. Apa saja yang dalam bag tu, itulah kehidupanku. Baju ke, seluar ke, slipper ke, kasut ke, you make full use lah apa yang ada yang you boleh carry dalam limit KLM 23 kilo, Malaysia Airlines 25 kilo. Ya, kalau AirAsia kedekut, okey lah 20 kilo. Kau tak nak beli extra baggage je. Okay, tapi I sempat masa 15 kilo apa semua. So I really have to manage. Sebab my life, I hop from plane to plane. Pernah jadi keadaan waktu tu, I was travelling daripada Kuala Lumpur to London. So I naik Malaysia Airlines. Malaysia Airlines, I tak travel business class, I travel economy class je. So dapatlah, I think 32 kilo. So what happened is that 32 kilo daripada London, I'm flying to Edinburgh. Okay, Edinburgh in Scotland. Lepas tu I naik Virgin Airlines. Virgin Airlines bagi 25 kilo macam tu. So bayangkan kalau dari KL, saya dah bawa segala mak nenek dekat dalam beg tu 32 kilo, tapi nak hidup tu sebulan tau. Nak hidup sebulan daripada London, Scotland ke Cambridge. Okay, nak hidup tu sebulan. Kita kena tengok perjalanan yang dengan flight terakhir tu ke Scotland tu, saya cuma ada lebih kurang 20 kilo. Jadi daripada KL, saya dah siap-siap. Saya tak boleh bawa extra baggage ya. Saya kena bawa ngam-ngam untuk muat dan saya kena check betul-betul hand carry. Kalau kita orang Asia, saya perasan airlines a bit leeway tau. Dia macam okay lah, you ada extra bag sikit boleh. Tapi kalau dekat luar negara, kalau dah dia kata memang one hand carry and your hand carry is your laptop bag, itu je. Your handbag you kena sorok somewhere. Your purse you kena sorok somewhere. So bayangkan nak hidup sebulan lebih kurang dengan limit bag yang you ada 25 kilo kan. Pandai-pandailah bawa semua benda kecil-kecil, bawa semua benda yang tipis-tipis, pandai-pandailah macam tu. Tapi benda-benda penting macam travel adapter ya, kalau kita ke London, okey lah, plug tu masih sama. Tapi kalau hop pula pergi Jerman, hop pula pergi US macam tu, kabel dah lain. You tertinggal kabel adapter, you nak run calculation, laptop you dah habis bateri, dah tak boleh buat kerja, nak kena beli mahal pula, susah ya. Charger phone, semua dokumen semua kena ada. Jadi I always recommend that kalau adik-adik travel ya, for work, I recommend bawa bag yang macam ni. So that you tak tertinggal barang-barang penting. Jadi kita orang perempuan nak bawa telekong lagi kan, nak bawa baju semayang lagi, nak bawa macam-macam lah. So campak je dalam tu. Nah, I have an experience, that time I ada meeting kat Jakarta, so I bring my bag. Of course I dengan bag-bag ni lah. So dia ni macam, Soleha ni macam barang dia. Tapi for me, I know I've been travelling a lot. So I cannot live without it. I akan bawa je. Lepas tu ada satu engineer ni, Mamat ni daripada China. Dia bawa tablet je satu kan. Very light lah dalam hati. Dahsyat je Mamat ni kan. He can travel so light like that. Lepas tu sekejap lagi masa meeting kan, he sat beside me tau. Lepas tu dia bisik, Soleha, can I borrow your handphone cable? Dia nak pinjam handphone cable kan. Handphone cable dia tak bawa. Lepas tu dalam hati I'm like, sekarang aku tahu. Memang you have to bawa lah apa yang patut ya. Jangan rasa macam tak apalah nanti pinjam orang. Masa tu nasib baik I ada. Kalau dia tak ada, sudah kerja kan. So kena manage our life well ya. Dalam pada you have to bring so many things, tapi you have to travel light ya. And satu lagi tips, this one very special untuk sisters, ya, keep pretty. Keep pretty. Yang ni sebenarnya masa I was studying ya, kami kan first batch automotive engineering girls. Memang kita orang comot tau. Kita orang macam pakai baju warna oranye, tudung warna biru, lepas tu tak make up. Lepas tu budak-budak band, budak-budak HS kan cantik-cantik kan. Dia pun macam, budak-budak enjin ni semuanya macam pecah kapal, dia kata. Kita macam sedih sangat. Tapi masa tu memang tak pandai. Sebab tak pandai tu satu. Sebab kawan-kawan kita pun tak make up. Kawan-kawan kita pun comot macam kita juga. Comot, okay? Tapi kita kan pergi workshop. Nak pakai lawa-lawa pun sekejap lagi berpeluh. Betul automotive engineering, kita kena merangkak masuk bawah kereta. Kau pakai lawa-lawa pun habis kan? Kau minyak kat sini, lepas tu minyak kat sini. memang tak boleh nak pakai lawa. Kita selalu pakai jaket, kita selalu pakai jeans, kan? Betul tak? Tapi tak apa, zaman belajar ni comot lah secomot-comotnya, it's okay. Tapi nanti kalau kerja, pakailah comel-comel ya, dek. Sebab apa tau? This is what I learn. Kalau engineer dekat Thailand dengan dekat Indonesia, even though they all are in mechanical line, dia orang cute tau, dia orang pretty, dia orang pakai makeup. For example, ni dekat PTT ME PTT is a national oil company for Thailand. Ini saya dekat Thailand. Memang kita masuk plan, dia pun masuk plan. Okay, tapi dia dengan blushernya, dengan lipsticknya, dengan kening lawanya, kita tengok dia pun senang hati tau. Okay, lepas pada tu I learn lah, okay sebenarnya even though you girls engineer, you takkan jadi underrated kalau you look pretty. Sebab you look pretty tu, you adalah pemandangan bagi orang lain. You make people happy sebenarnya. Jadi jangan risau takut ada glass ceiling lah, takut ada apa, macam Sister Wani cakap tadi, macam diskriminasi antara wanita dengan lelaki. Nanti saya pakai makeup, saya comel-comel, saya bawa bag colour pink, nanti orang anggap saya ni macam tak capable. Alah, bullshit. Persetan kan semua tu kan. Yang penting you kena cute, you kena comel, you kena cantik, you kena happy Love yourself macam Sister Wani cakap tadi. So lagi satu pesanan, walaupun kena bawa lipstick bagai tu semua, bawa lah lipstick kecil, you kena travel light. Ya, perempuan ni kadang dia cenderung untuk nak bawa segala mak denek, segala kitchen sink dekat tiket kapal terbang Virgin Airlines dia tulis tau, you can bring everything except the kitchen sink. Serius dia tulis macam tu. Lepas tu for me I'm like, ya, saya tahu saya memang jenis suka bawa barang banyak-banyak kan. Tapi apa-apa pun you kena cuba untuk travel light. Jangan susahkan orang, jangan susahkan ground handler dengan bag you yang berat tu. Lagi satu that I would like to share, manage your time, your solat time well. Bila travel, in my experience, of course different people different like me. When I have a business trip, for example, when I go to Bangkok, in one day, I will have 2 clients to meet. I'm on the go all the time. Jadi biasanya bila ada kesempatan untuk solat jamak takdim, ada je break time, tak kisahlah dalam teksi ke, kat kafe ke, asal ada je break time untuk jamak takdim, I will jamak takdim first. Sebab kalau kita macam tak apalah nantilah, adalah kemudian lah kot, kita jamak takhir lah Zuhur dengan Asar, takutnya nanti tak ada kesempatan. Entah nanti you terkejar ke mana, you lari sana, you lambat dapat kereta ke, you lambat dapat teksi ke apa kan, you tak sempat sampai hotel, tak sempat solat semua, tak sempat dapat tempat yang sesuai untuk solat. So kalau ada kesempatan awal waktu untuk jamak takdim dulu, so that lega, dah tak ada dah kita punya tanggungjawab belum tertunaikan. So just to share with you, kalau kita travel for example dekat Thailand kan kita Islam kan kita pentingkan kebersihan kan. Jadi dekat Thailand tu it's very common, even Singapore pun washroom dia tak ada bidet, dia tak ada air kan. Jadi kita kan tahu kita kena jaga penyucian and everything. So you kena kreatif lah, bawa lah botol air ke macam mana ke, sebab kita nak boleh solat at any time yang kita boleh dapat solat So kena kreatif bab-bab tu. Sebab kalau kita perempuan every time kita nak kena cari telekung apa semua susah. Jadi pakailah benda-benda yang terus boleh mudahkan kita solat. Jadi kalau saya pun selalu je solat dengan baju ni straight away memang kita tak banyak pilihan. Okay, the next thing that I would like to share with you, brothers and sisters, my beloved brothers and sisters, is about attitude bila kalian nanti bekerja You got to be tough. You got to be tough. Maksudnya orang tegur sikit, kena tahan, kena dengar, kena terima. Kalau macam ini saya ada meeting dekat Jakarta. For me biasa. Hari ni saya meeting kat Jakarta, besok saya ada meeting kat Singapore pula. Biasa. Tapi the world doesn't want to know kalau you sakit kepala ke, you kurang air ke. Manage yourself. Bawa your own Panadol. Bawa your own air Manage yourself. Makan, you kena makan. Sebab kalau tak nanti pening kepala, you dah sampai nak beratur kat immigration, nobody to help you, beratur might be panjang. So you kena be tough. Manage yourself well. And like being shared by my other friends also, be hungry to learn. Kalau orang ajar you buat sesuatu, atau orang suruh you buat sesuatu, oh maaf, sir, I do not know how to do this. Can you teach me? That should be the attitude. Bukan, saya tak pernah buat ni. Malah yang lebih parah, kalau pernah kerja banyak company, oh dulu kat company lama saya tak buat pun benda macam ni. Well, company lama, you dekat company ni sekarang, you can adapt and you can belajar, right? Now, being tough doesn't means that for girls doesn't means that you kena jadi bitch. Kan bahasa anak-anak zaman sekarang kan. Jangan jadi perempuan yang macam tu, perempuan yang backstab orang, perempuan kan suka bergosip kan. Jangan nak gosip-gosip orang, tambah rempah-rempah bawang sana sini. Jangan. Ingat, amalkan hiduplah dengan sifat-sifat mahmudah ya. Sebab that's only way to go. So be tough, be hungry to learn and amalkan sifat-sifat mahmudah dalam hidup. Now another piece of little advice that I also would like to share with you.
Sister Solihah. Due to time constraint, you have 1 minute left.
Okay,
Sorry.
boleh. Memang dah nak habis dah pun.
Okay.
So, piece of advice, at whatever age you are, keep learning Quran and Hadith, ya. Follow all the kita punya fardu ain untuk belajar, makrifatullah, tasawuf semua tu. At any given age, teruskan belajar. At the same time, enjoy life. Walaupun we have to be tough, but it doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy life. Enjoy life, tak apa. And work-life balance is penting, ya. Time kerjalah macam gila. Time enjoy. And please, eat veggie and fruit every day. I know student suka je makan benda yang tak pedah. Jangan, daripada study ni, makanlah benda pedah, ya. And then, this is my personal advice. Buy personal medical card with investment link, takaful with your first salary so that you tak habiskan duit beli benda merepek, handbag mahal-mahal tu tak payah. And my last advice is, engineer ni biasanya gaji dia besar tau, tapi live within means. Jangan asyik travel, shopping banyak sampai nanti dah banyak hutang apa semua. So that's my advice. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Solihah, for the very enlightening speech and great session. So next, I would like to invite Sister Ayu to deliver her talk for today.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sorry actually shift malam sebenarnya, baru balik kerja dan muka saya ada sedikit sembab. Sekejap saya nak cari
eye cream.
Eye cream kena minta tolong Mujahidah Solihah.
Ya, the anti-aging cream.
Okay. Dah keluar ke? Tak keluar? Okay. Okay macam Sis Mujahidah tadi cakap, kita sebenarnya dah bincang apa yang nak diceritakan setiap seorang. So saya ambil job experience sharing, your expectation versus industrial expectation lah bila kita nak cari kerja. So, my name is Ayu Zalini binti Abdullah. Just call me Ayu. So, I'm Senior Quality Engineer at Pro2 Manufacturing Sdn Bhd. Okay. Ni macam Sis Mujahidah Solihah cakap tadi, Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering. Dalam bracket, automotive. Sebab kalau buat Bachelor Automotive Engineering, susah nak dapat kerja. Sebab macam very limited. So, this is the proof. We are 2005 graduate. Tapi sini Sis Mujahidah Solihah tak ada. Saya rasa dia pergi karate kot. Kan? Okay. So kita pergi pada perkara pertama, your expectation. So sebenarnya bila ada trainer yang datang ke Pro2, dia akan pergi ke setiap department dan akan duduk under setiap department tu seminggu. So soalan yang selalu saya tanya, apakah expectation diorang bila dia orang datang training, apa expectation dia orang, bila dia nak dapat kerja, apa expectation dia orang. So first of all, mesti nak high salary, nak beli kereta. So ini memang tak berapa nak setuju. Macam Sis Mujahidah Solihah cakap tadi, better kita cari takaful dululah sebelum kita fikir nak beli kereta yang best. So overseas business trip ni sebenarnya saya daripada sekolah rendah lagi, saya memang suka nak ke Jepun. So target saya memang ke Pro2 sebab saya tahu Pro2 dia ada link dengan Daihatsu. So alhamdulillah segalanya berjalan lancar dan selepas 2 tahun saya di Pro2, saya akan ke Jepun setiap tahun dan setahun tu dalam 4 kali akan ke Jepun lah. So good position ni ambil engineering, jadi engineer lah awal-awal kan. So flexible working hours. Sebenarnya dekat Pro 2 dia tak ada flexible working hours. So follow je lah kerja 12 jam. Good benefit, okay, good benefit and good boss. So ini adalah your expectation. So biasanya company expectation satu je. Dia nak kita follow dia punya.
Sis, sorry. Kita tak nampak slide.
Tak nampak ke?
Belum.
Alamak, tak cakap dari tadi sekejap
Nampak Career Talk UIA, those folders je.
Nampak folder.
Ya ke?
Career sharing
saya
tu
perlu
nampak
buat,
punya file dia.
Tak. Saya dah share. Sekejap.
Share, lepas tu select dekat share application tu kot.
Share application. Mana AR?
Dia tak.
Sorry. Can someone help me?
Ya.
Kalau macam sekarang ni, kalau Kak Yu buka dekat sharing tu, share screen ke share application?
Share screen.
Mungkin Kak Yu ada 2 screen ke?
2 screen. Setakat ni
Dua
satu
bit
je
tu.
ni.
Oh, satu je. Cuba stop share, share sekali lagi.
Sekejap Okay.
Belum nampak benda sama.
IT support mana?
IT support naik basikal lah.
Kak Yu sekarang pakai ni apa? Full screen dekat
Support belum balik dekat kayu. Aduh, IT support pun.
Kak Yu pakai full screen ke dekat ni, dekat presentation tu? Cuba exit dulu full screen tu, lepas tu reshare balik yang PowerPoint tu.
Dah. Belum.
Okey, cuba share file PowerPoint yang belum jadi full screen tu.
Terjadi juga.
Nampak.
Jadi.
Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Jadi.
Betul. I tak ada masa ni. I tak ada masa
patutlah tak ada orang nampak kan. Ni proof kita orang graduate 2005 lah. This is the famous spot nak ambil gambar lah. So kalau kira ni ada 6 orang, tadi kita orang ada 7 kan. So Mujahidah Salihah not here.
Masa tu I was in US. Memang tak sempat balik.
Okay. So tadi kita ulang balik lah your expectation yang saya dah cerita tadi ada 6. So kita tengok company expectation just one, achieve KPI. Ini memang sejak masuk je Pro 2, itu je lah yang selalu duduk dalam kepala otak. So kalau hati tak tenang, otak tak kuat, memang rasa boleh pecah kot, boleh lari daripada Pro 2 tu. So kita boleh tengok ni kita punya macam mana kita nak tengok challenge kita. Itu expectation versus current situation. So current situation apa yang kita dah dapat? Kalau untuk kita punya challenge expectation sendirilah. Macam saya kalau tengok ni, tengok gambar-gambar ni semua ke overseas, ke Japan, Taipei, China, Beijing, Shanghai kan. Dan tengok kebanyakannya memang saya je seorang yang perempuan. So sebenarnya boleh je kita hidup di kalangan lelaki. Tak mati lagi pun 15 tahun saya kerja. So masih hidup. So paling penting sekali sebab bila kita masuk Pro 2 ni, bila pergi meeting in a crowd, memang kita seorang je perempuan. Nak kalau macam saya duduk dekat production kan, macam mana kita nak orang dengar cakap kita. As a quality engineer, biasanya kita kena buat decision making. So first kali memang kena build trust between orang-orang yang bekerja dengan kita lah. Macam yang kelip-kelip saya cakap tadi. Paling penting big trust, big link dengan diorang. So dapatkan kepercayaan diorang. So insyaAllah apa yang kita cakap biasanya diterima. Dan boleh dibawa berbincang lah kalau tak diterima pun. So saya hidup 15 tahun memang itulah caranya. So satu lagi dekat Perodua ni, sebab saya ni jenis sport woman. Dekat Perodua, dekat QC lah, kita memang ada komiti, sport komiti yang setiap tahun 2 atau 3 kali akan buat aktiviti sport. So ni adalah salah satu sebenarnya dalam KPI juga. Macam mana nak memastikan kita boleh release tension, macam mana nak memastikan badan kita sihat, sebab kerja dekat Perodua ni as a production memang bergerak ke sana kemari. Macam Azmin cakap tadi lah, plan besar. Azmin tu dekat plan SME first tadi kan. Memang sehari 20,000 langkah lah kot berjalan. Sebab macam saya ni, saya mostly jaga press shop, body shop dengan paint shop. So daripada QC yang hujung sekali ni, nak ke press shop yang first step sekali buat kereta ni memang jauh sebenarnya. So itu adalah challenge kita, macam mana kita nak meet our expectation lah. So nombor 2, challenge to commit to meet industrial expectation. So sebenarnya daripada nak tunjuk gambar saya duduk kat brochure ni, comel juga walaupun tak make up kan. Mesti comel lah. Ni zaman-zaman muda lagi ni. So sebenarnya kalau ni brochure nak kita nak hire pekerja. So apa yang dia sebut kat sini, self-motivated, independent, team player, high resilience, self-confidence. Ni semua yang kawan-kawan saya dah sebut tadi. Benda yang perlu ada dalam diri kita selain daripada knowledge kita masa kita belajar. Tu sebenarnya kita punya good personal qualities lah. So sebenarnya dalam untuk achieve KPI company ni, company masa dia interview kita, sebenarnya apa yang dia nak, kita ni boleh play a role untuk achieve company KPIs dengan minimum supervision. Sebenarnya tak ada orang pun nak ambil kita kerja, nak diajar 100%. Macam tu. So kita kena selalu fikir, kita kena belajar sendiri. Memang akan ada training, tapi tak ada masuk tu terus pergi training 100% semua benda yang kita nak buat kerja. Macam saya masuk dulu memang rasa dibuang ke laut lah. Ambil Ayu Zalini ni, letak kat assembly. So assembly complain, part tak boleh pasang, klip tak boleh masuk. So itulah sekecil-kecil klip yang tak boleh nak masuk ke lubang tu, kita kena study kenapa klip ni tak boleh masuk. Kenapa klip ni dah masuk tapi unfit. Kecil je klip tu. Tapi itulah tugas sebagai quality engineer. Tapi macam mana? Masa ni baru kita guna kita punya skill. Klip, cari drawing klip. Cari drawing benda yang kita nak, panel yang kita nak letak klip tu. So tengok overlapping apa semualah. So itu adalah benda yang kita, tapi kita nak apa? Usaha nak pergi cari drawing apa semua tu, usahalah kan. Kita punya good personal qualities lah. Sebab kalau kata yang baru-baru masuk ni, sebenarnya bila bagi problem yang macam tu, kebanyakannya mana nak dapat drawing. Kadang-kadang klip ni daripada Daihatsu tau, bukan daripada Malaysia. So drawing biasanya tak ada dengan kita. So macam mana kita nak dapatkan drawing? Sebab tu kita kena berbuat baik dengan Japanese yang ada dekat Jepun tu. So minta tolong dia orang dapatkan drawing daripada Japan. So itulah yang dikatakan sebagai good personal qualities. Macam ni, kenapa saya highlightkan Kursi Sport Club ni? Tengok kalau dia tulis ni, pihak komiti sedang berusaha nak menjayakan sport club ni kan, aktiviti. Terpaksa ambil waktu rehat, terpaksa kerja lebih masa. Sebenarnya kalau ikutkan, bukan kerja hakiki pun. Ramai orang tak nak buat pun. Tapi memandangkan benda tu adalah kita rasa tanggungjawab. Ada dalam KPI. Kita kena sihat, kita kena bantu orang sihat. Kita buat juga walaupun tak makan pada hari tu. So ni, biasalah hari kan malam-malam pun kena datang sukan. Walaupun siang kerja, malam kena datang sukan. So one of our punya, kita punya bill lah, tak ramai orang boleh buat. So ni, sebenarnya kalau tengok gambar yang pakai mask ni dah lama saya demam kot pakai mask ni. Kat belakang tu tengok ada dye. Dye yang mana, ni ada press shop. So apabila saya ke Japan, ke Taiwan ni sebenarnya, saya pergi untuk confirmkan bahawa dye ni boleh dipakai dengan baik di Malaysia. So kita buat dye untuk buat, kita buat dye untuk buat body panel ni sebenarnya dekat Japan, dekat luar lah. So sebelum kita bawa balik dye ni ke Malaysia, kita akan pastikan 100% free from problem. Dan sini kita akan adjust untuk confirmkan dia boleh pakai dengan mesin yang kita ada. Mesin tu tak samalah kat tuan. Tapi yang melibatkan dye punya problem, kita dah settle masa sebelum kita buy off ke Malaysia. Okay. So macam saya cakap tadi ultimate KPI. So saya sekali nak ke Malaysia. So yang kita akan untuk berikan dan ada yang selalu kita pakai bebas people first. Bebas sebenarnya kita kena tengok bagus, kita kena perlukan orang-orang yang nak buat ni, ada orang-orang yang boleh follow rule. Bukannya orang-orang yang follow rule ni, maksud saya ni kalau kita masuk pukul 8 tu, ya Allah, gambar kat atas tu. Pukul 8 tu dah start bekerja. So biasanya kat Pro 2, 7.45 kita akan semua light exercise. 7.50 briefing apa yang nak buat. So pukul 8 dah start bekerja. Minum air, makan, breakfast apa tunggu 10.30 ataupun kena datang sebelum 7.45. Ini adalah kita macam mana kita nak develop kita punya people ikut rules. Maksudnya tak ada masuk time baru nak pergi minum dah apalah. Pukul 8 tu no time for minum-minum dah. Lepas tu customer first, quality first semua juga. Kita kena fikirkan setiap apa kita buat customer dulu. Sebab kalau ada problem dekat line apa semua, kita akan stop dan confirmkan semua masalah sebelum kita jual kereta-kereta tu ke sales. So adalah salah satu kerja daripada quality engineer lah. So tim Wanggo ni semua maksudnya daripada semua department kena one boss lah. Last but not least about Pro 2. So kalau kita tengok sekarang Pro 2 ni ada dua, Pro 2 Corporation dan Pro 2 Sales. So under Pro 2 Corporation, boleh dengar aku semua orang?
Boleh.
Okay. Under Pro 2 Corporation ni kita ada Pro 2 Global Manufacturing, yang mana ni company baru. Memang dia adalah manufacturer untuk kereta juga dan 100% robotik lah. So saya kerja dekat Pro 2 Manufacturing, bukan global lah, maknanya Pro 2 yang lama. Lepas tu kita buat engine sendiri, Pro 2 engine sendiri. So kalau nanti kata adik-adik ni nak minta kerja kat Pro 2 kena faham lah, dia mungkin ada open interview for Pro 2 Global Manufacturing, Pro 2 Manufacturing and Pro 2 engine sendiri. Itu sahaja daripada saya sharing. Okay? Any question? Terima kasih.
To all of our speakers for the great session, to all of us, especially to the women. So now we'll have another Q&A session. If you have any questions, you can open the mic to ask or you can type it in the chat box. So according to the Google form, I have a question. So the question is, what should I do to make myself marketable in this industry?
Ni auto ke error lah yang bertanya?
Rasanya ni general ke both word. And one
Oh, general both. Itulah. Mujahidah sebagai CEO tak nak jawab.
Okay, kalau nak tanya pasal in specifically automotive engineering, tanya Sister Ayu lah ya. Tapi kalau tanya saya in term of a general, how to make yourself marketable, okay, all those things which is shared by my fellow friends, Sister Ayu share tadi kan, self-motivated, self-confidence, apa tadi tu? Resilient. Pada slide saya tadi, basically those are basic. Jadi kita kena ada hard skill dengan soft skill. Hard skill tu of course you punya knowledge kena solid. Knowledge solid dengan cara masa belajar ni belajarlah betul-betul. Sebab bila you kerja, you tak boleh nak istilahnya bullshit lah untuk nak apa bahasa zaman sekarang kan, apa kencing, tak boleh nak kencing lah. You kencing macam kalau sister Ayu sharing, tak boleh fit lah kan. So you memang kena buat benda tu betul-betul. So how to make yourself marketable, macam mana interviewer nak boleh nampak you punya marketability tu dari awal, nak first impression dah sound. So first impression you punya communication skill, your ability to speak. Macam si Zulaikha kan MC kita hari ni, pandai dia cakap English semua kan. So masa zaman kat UIA ni, jangan malu tunggal langgang cakap English pun tak apa, sebab semua orang cakap English, broken pun tak apa, sebab you have to practice your speaking language in English if possible, sebab no choice sekarang English is the lingua franca. And how you nak create the first impression masa interview tu yang you the one. Memang no choice. Like I said tadi tu, you punya first impression, you punya ability to communicate. That's from my opinion.
Okay, thank you for the answer. So we have another question. Does bachelor engineer is enough to secure a job? This is also in general.
Ayu, mungkin yang boleh jawab ni kita dua je kot. Sebab yang lain-lain tu semua dah on pathway of PhD.
InsyaAllah secure. Tengok macam mana kita nak dalam diri kita lah. Kalau macam kita boleh hidup sebagai pekerja, secure. Kalau kata kita nak lebih daripada menjadi pekerja, kita jadi macam Sis Mujahidah Salihah tu, jadi CEO. Think of the business lah. Itu saja. Sebab kadang ada orang dia tak boleh nak kerja under orang sebenarnya. Macam ramai juga yang masuk kerja kat Pro 2 ni, sebenarnya lepas tahun sebenarnya dia nak tunggu dia punya bond habis je. Sebab dah tak tahan dengan, macam saya cakap tadi lah, tak ada kekuatan dalam diri tu. Dia macam tak tahan bila orang cakap, biasanya kita buat report 10 kali belum tentu lagi approve lah. Biasanya itu pun orang tak tahan. Tapi sebenarnya itulah yang membuildkan kita punya awal-awal tu, macam mana kita nak tahu kita punya bos nak yang macam mana, report tu, macam tu. So saya rasa jadi Bachelor of Engineer ni, kalau memang kita nak jadi seorang engineer, kita boleh jadi seorang engineer. Kat mana-mana pun kita pergi sebenarnya.
Kalau saya boleh tambah ya.
Tak menjawab.
Kalau saya boleh tambah, it depends juga which field that you are in. For example, kalau Brother Azimin dia memang researcher. Researcher mestilah ada ilmu yang lebih kan, kena ada PhD. Kalau Sister Wani dia dengan statutory body, which much better lah bila dia ada pengetahuan yang mendalam. Tapi for those yang active in industry, macam kita yang memang, kita praktis kan. Jadi kita kena macam ni, kita kena bachelor tu cukup, tapi you kena ada possible yang certification yang lain lah. Untuk melengkapkan degree tu. And especially kalau yang nak masuk akademik, memang wajib lah kena ada sampai PhD tu. Tapi kalau tanya kami survive tak hanya dengan degree? Okay, so far survive.
Market yang kalau kata nak duduk dalam industri yang paling bagus sekarang, kalau tahu sedikit pasal Expo kan, itu pun bagus juga sebab semua industri boleh pergi.
Alright, thank you. So I think a big appreciation to all of our speakers for making time to join us this eventful afternoon to share their experiences and stories. It does enlighten us about our future career in this industry. So before we end our session for today, let us take some pictures to remember this memorable event. It would be great if everyone can turn on their camera and smile brightly. I hope that everyone can turn on their camera and use the green filter provided. So is there anyone else to open the camera? Okay, I think we'll just proceed to the photography session. This is Saifa.
Okay. Okay, everyone ready, right? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, sekali lagi. 1, 2, 3. Okay, buat gaya bebas sikit ke? 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to all the speakers. So the feedback form for this slot has been dropped on the chat box. Students are required to fill it in. So inshallah, with that, we end our event with Tasbih Kafara and Surah Al-As. Students, you may leave the meeting now. Thank you for all the speakers.
Thank you. The best.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.